Hey there, YouTube. So, there appears to be a lot happening in USPSA right now. Actually, too much to even explain here. But over on Instagram, you should check out Practical Shooting Insights. He's been exposing, hey, there's issues with like the Area 8 financials is going on this morning, travel expenses for the organization going back over some time. There's a confidentiality agreement for the board, which is kind of weird. It's in addition to whatever agreement they already have in place or whatever policy they already have in place that has very broad language. I'm not sure if any board members have signed it. I certainly wouldn't um, but he's got all that stuff posted. Uh, Pat Brown, an accountant who's been following USPSA pretty closely and talks about it over on Instagram. He's explaining how some accounting changes over some time. So they just changing the way that they report numbers, not even changing the numbers, just changing the way they get reported and how things get accounted for, made a bunch of revenue, or it would appear to be revenue, appear not revenue or cash or whatever. It appeared that they were making more money than they really were because of these changes. um, Pat talks about it a lot on Instagram. He saw a big shift in how USPSA was managed uh, around 2016 and early 2017. He was not part of the organization at that time, but looking through the numbers uh, and all the information he can get, really, old board minutes, stuff like that. He sees like there was a big shift here in how USPSA was managed. Like I said, there's too much for me to even talk about. What I do want to talk about is what the board is putting out in response to this. So, I mean, as much as they talk about transparency, like you don't see too much from the board members. One of them, the Area 4 director, privated his Instagram account because there's more going on with him. Like he got into a bunch of trouble recently. There's not really information coming from any of them except for two of the area directors posted their conflict of interest statements in public. They're supposed to be public, but only two of them put them up. The rest of them, no. Like I said, there's so much happening. It's tough to keep track of it all. But what it looks like is there's so many issues now being exposed. Like I don't like they must be getting upset. The board must be getting upset. And what they did was they printed a letter from a member in the USPSA magazine. That's I mean I think they approve of the message. So that's why I want to read that. That's what I want to talk about is this letter to the board or letter to the members that the board made sure was this put in the USPSA magazine for people to read. Now I've met the guy who wrote it, I think, and I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. But um, well, anyway, I'll just read the letter and just think like this is what the board would approve of, or this is their messaging in the face of all of these issues and all these different problems. I'm writing to share my thoughts and concerns about our organization, which I've been a member since 2002. Over the years, I've been actively involved in various capacities, working with local clubs, serving as range officer, and becoming a dedicated volunteer at national events. Proud to be part of the organization and grateful for the opportunity to collaborate with fellow members and supporters from across the country. It has been heartening to witness the commitment and passion of families who support their children in the sport. Our young participants are indeed the future of our organization. However, in recent years, I've observed and heard about some deeply concerning behavior, including offensive language and aggressive actions directed at employees of our organization. I believe we must adhere to the rules of respect and mutual consideration. Our elected officials should be proactive in enforcing these rules and ensuring that all members treat each other with dignity. Everyone has the right to express their opinions, but personal attacks and hostile behavior must not be tolerated. I urge the board to take a stronger stance on upholding our rules consistently and without favoritism. We must acknowledge that while elite shooters are dedicated to their sport and have worked hard to achieve their status, they also need to show respect for fellow shooters at all skill levels. Our organization is unique in offering the opportunity to members to interact with and learn from top athletes, and we should cherish and protect this inclusive environment. The majority of our members, ranging from beginners to advanced shooters, contribute to the success and growth of our organization. It is crucial that we support one another and work together as a united front. We should not focus on singling out individuals, but rather address issues that involve all parties. I have spoken with many board members about how these concerns, and it is evident that we need to take collective action to to prevent our organization from succumbing to negativity and division. We must strive to be a friendly, family oriented organization that fosters a sense of community and camaraderie. As members, we can be seen as stockholders who are invested in the success and well being of our organization. It is disheartening to witness personal attacks on employees, see no action taken against those responsible. Such behavior must be addressed and sanctioned. Let's take a moment to reflect on our individual roles and the direction to which we wish to steer our organization. Do we want to become part of the strife and discord that plagues the world outside, or do we want to preserve the unity and integrity of our organization? The choice is ours to make. I sincerely hope that we can come together and build a stronger, more respectful community. We, with hope for a united and supported future. John Serafin. So he signed his name. Been a member for a long time. But that's the messaging that the board wants people reading. Uh, so, as far as that, I mean, obviously, I don't agree. I don't have a huge problem with personal attacks or just, I mean, relatively aggressive commentary, even in public. Uh, I don't have it doesn't bug me a whole lot. Uh, but I just want to say, the board has definitely made this bed for themselves over the years that that I was in USPSA. This like the attitude in this guy's letter, that attitude was the prevailing attitude. It was like, hey, don't make a bunch of waves, don't talk about whatever stuff you don't like, um, and also in truth, there wasn't huge issues in USPSA. It was people arguing about rules or this and that. At this point, it's become really clear to a lot of people that the communication that you get from the board, it is deceptive by design. You have a bunch of guys working to not reveal information. Sometimes they'll flat out lie about stuff. Usually they just don't say that much. Uh, so that to me, like, I mean, I agree with this guy that the guy who wrote the letter, and really what the board says is like, hey, it's we should have respect and mutual consideration. Like, I believe it or not, I kind of agree with that. Uh, However, when somebody's just going out, especially in a public venue, and they're saying stuff that is just nonsense, like they're lying, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I mean, you can tell like this is orchestrated, this is deceptive, this is not meant to tell me the truth about whatever it is that they're doing. Like, then at that point, like, I don't feel the need to be respectful towards you at all. Um, and I like that. I mean, that's just my personal attitude. I think a lot of people agree with that. And, and the problem is the board will go out and just say stuff that is lies or say nothing or give no information and then expect that you then react to that, nicely or calmly. And I don't think you have to. I mean, obviously, I don't think you have to. You go ahead and attack these people personally because the problem, in my view, the problem isn't the rules or procedures of USPSA. The problem is the personalities running it. It is the people that are the problem. So obviously, they're not going to like personal attacks. And then the other kind of thread throughout the letter that the guy wrote, and again, I think it's a nice guy, is they want harmony. They don't like discord. They don't like people arguing and so on. But I think the fact is, with all of the stuff that's happened, not just involving me, involving a lot of different people, a lot of different issues around USPSA, and a lot of them just not really addressed, not addressed at all, or just lied about, or swept under the rug, or whatever. It's like you can't come together and have unity if you don't hash this stuff out, if you don't actually address these things. Um, and a lot of that, the personalities you're dealing with on the board, they're unable to come to an agreement and address things and then move on. Because fundamentally, what they want, like they want to be in charge. They don't really care what happens. Then you have a bunch of people on the, not in charge. They look at them like, hey, I don't really care who's in charge of this thing. I just want certain things to happen or not happen. It's just it's completely incompatible views where like to them it's like what matters is who's in charge. To other people it's like, yeah, okay, we don't really care who's in charge. Just you can't lie about what's going on and just say what you're doing at the budget and don't kick people out for saying what they think and whatever. These views are incompatible in a lot of ways. So I mean, what would have to happen? You get people together and you actually make an agreement, and then decide how you're going to compromise, and then you all move forward together, like in theory. But at this point, like I don't really see how that happens. I don't know how that would happen, and the other side's not even interested in talking. So it's just what the board wants and what like the very nice man who wrote the letter, what they really want is just for people just stop talking about this stuff and like we'll just move forward and kind of pretend it didn't happen. And I'm not sure that's gonna work. It certainly wouldn't work for me. Uh, and also as we look on, just the way decisions get made in USPSA is not correct. Here's a good example. IPSC Nationals, not USPSA Nationals, IPSC Nationals. It's going to be in Arizona and it's going to be in April of 2024. Now, a lot of people don't like the idea of having the Nationals early in the season like that in April. A lot of people, maybe they like it being in Arizona, maybe they don't like it being in Arizona. But the fact is, it's in Arizona because Leighton wants it in Arizona at his club or a club he's near, and the only time they can have the match is in April. So no matter how you think decisions should get made or what you think they should be, it's like the fact is Leighton wants it at his club. He's putting it at his club, so now it has to be in April. I don't think decisions should get made that way, just based on what Leighton wants, and that kind of forces things to go down a certain road. But again, that's just the way it is. And they will never be an open conversation like in a public forum where people could really discuss this with Leighton or with the other board members, say, hey, this is what we want to see, and actually have a back and forth. They're never going to do that. That is not how decisions get made. Leighton wants it at his club. He puts it at his club. It has to be in April, which is kind of dumb for nationals, but hey, at least he gets what he wants. So that's how the decision gets made. And right on down the line with how all the decisions get made in USPSA. I don't like it. I don't think it's right. A lot of other people, turns out, are starting to agree with me. So, yeah, we'll keep things. We'll keep watching. There's so much happening now from so many different angles. Like it's really difficult to keep up with. Which I can see why the board is effectively crying uncle, and they just want this to stop. But I'm not sure it's going to stop.